Todd Rankin
I just want you to know, David, he's already starting off as a negative for me. You understand that, don't you? Well, I don't know who decided to bring him on, David. I'm blaming you for this.
Which makes him perfect for the show.
He looked over at Rookie as he pulled the microphone close to him and said, "Where's the bell?" Stop with the bell.
There it is right there. What bell?
Love it.
I'm blaming you for that, David.
So, well, I get blamed for a lot. But Todd is Todd's probably, we look to Todd as somebody that can steer our telecommunications for our chamber and for small business and large business throughout the community. Todd was involved in a local company, was one of the founders of a local company, and now has branched off into Tricom. So, Todd, welcome to the show today.
Thank you very much, David.
Welcome, my friend.
Thank you.
You know, I looked at your website, and the one thing that caught my attention was it kind of looks like you do anything that has to do with communication. Actually, that was something we talked about earlier on the show. Communication's so important. Yeah. Is there anything that's involved in communication that you don't get involved in?
I would say no. I mean, with the convergence of voice and data and the way things are layered over and so closely tied together with the intranet and the bandwidth and how you have to reach out to your customers these days, if it sits on your network, if it's a piece of hardware that sits on your network, the chances are we work on it, have someone who can work on it, or have a package or program that will help you service that need.
Well, I mean, wow, has your business changed in the last 7 to 10 years, hadn't it? I mean, I've got a lot of friends that were in your business, sold a lot of phone systems, and man, things have just changed. Talk a little bit about that change, because with your industry, so goes the entire business world, really.
Right, and it's our analogy nowadays is that communication years or technology years for a company are like dog years. You know, what's a normal year for every other business is like 7 years for us. The way the technology evolves and changes, so that is one of our biggest challenges is trying to keep up with the technology, because there are so many different avenues to take, and you have to kind of carve out your space. You have to kind of know enough to have the conversation about what it globally looks like for a customer, but you have to kind of know your space and try to stay in your space, because it's easy to get out of your lane, and once you get out of your lane and you create a bad position for the customer, it can have a negative impact. And
I like to say this, let's back up and talk a little bit about how you got to where you are, because you don't wake up one day and realize I'm gonna provide technology to businesses all across the country. So to back up a little bit, and you don't have to go back to 1962, but kind of tell us how you got here.
Yeah, I wake up asking myself that question sometimes. How did I get here? And how do I get further down the road? But I started out as a manager for a privatized payphone company when the baby bells broke up and if anybody remembers the payphone.
Oh yeah.
I was a national manager for a company there. Branched out and created my own company there called General Communications. Sold that off.
So you had your own business in that space.
Correct. Had my own business in that space, and saw the fastly approaching train called the cellular phone. So I knew it was time to get out of that space, and went into a wireless agreement with some retail stores. Kind of did that retail consumer thing for a while. And then that kind of evolved in, because we had more of a business-to-business model. We had a consumer, storefront, brick and mortar, but we evolved that into a B2B model, and that created an opportunity for us to start, talking to our customers about phone systems, their infrastructure cabling, their data networks, what do they need to communicate day to day, and that evolved into a company called CCI Telecom, which I founded and ran for about 20 years, and then transitioned out of that. But that's kind of I've kind of been in that communication space my entire life, helping customers communicate with their vendors and move their management and their data around their platform and just make it easier for them to do business.
So you have seen all the changes.
I have seen all the changes.
You've been part of it, my friend.
From the payphone to the cellular phone to the conversation just being, how many phones do you need? Well, we need 20.
Yeah,
and we slap them on the desktop.
And people need to understand. I've got a friend of mine started a telecommunication company, Telecom, years ago, and you've probably heard of them. And I've watched this just through my friend. I've never owned this in any business in this space before because it's too technical. But when you say keep up with technology, I mean literally you could go to bed and when you wake up your client may be asking you something that just came through an email that may be hot off the press that another competitor is providing, and you've got to figure out whether you can provide it and how you can do that. Talk about how quickly that is changing and how you can keep advising your clients, because if you're not on top of it, you'll start losing clients in the process.
Absolutely. It's the continuing education piece. I mean, if you're not in today's environment, you have to know your product first and foremost. But in today's environment and arena, you have to know everyone else's product to understand what the play is for that product, because it's transformed from premise-based equipment to you could put everything in the cloud. So you have to know really both environments, your products, your competitors' products, and how they tie together, and how not only to sell your product, but how to not sell the other products. So that's a big challenge that we've never had before. We've never had that challenge before, but you definitely have to know that information in today's market.
We do have some smart people.
David Bradley from the chamber.
We got to. I thought David was is as experienced at radioing as we are, but we got to teach him not to tell a good story once we go off the air and tell the good story on air. So you told a great story of how you actually met Todd. Talk a little bit about that story, because it really does define this level of customer service it's needed in this industry.
Well, exactly right. Thanks, Joe. There are many things that we all have to worry about every day. I don't want to know and don't necessarily need to know everything. I need everything about telecommunications. I just need to know who to call. And when we were in a previous building, we had a national company that provided our telecommunications, and we had a major problem, and we were down with our telephone, our internet connection. We were down for 36 hours, with really no end in sight, and out of a last-ditch resort. We weren't a customer of Todd's at the time, but I called Todd.
Which is his first problem, you understand.
Exactly. So I called Todd.
No bail on that one?
You don't want the bell, Todd. That bell's not a good thing.
So I called Todd, and within 20 minutes, we were up and running. So we called a local company, a local expert, to get us out of a local problem. And we got action, and so I learned a valuable lesson at the time: is try to work locally as best you can, anytime you can, but also try to find that local expert that can look after you and look after you for you.
Right.
So we sort of. That's when I got to understand the value of Todd and his integrity and his commitment to service.
Well, we've proven that he's a very experienced guy. We sometimes get so talking about the business. Let's make sure people know how they can get hold of you. If they're a business or they need some telecommunications help, we're talking to Todd Rankin of Tricom. Tell them how they can get hold of you,
Todd.
Todd.
Like if their phone's not working right now.
Yeah, if it's not working, how do they get hold of you?
Right. The website would be tricom-usa.com, and locally here we're on Davie Avenue at 962 Davie Avenue, and by phone it would be 704-883-6129. And again, here
you got to say it twice now.
Yeah, 704-883-6129, and we are locally here in town in Statesville.
Fantastic.
Let's try, and we've got a few minutes, and what I'd love for you to talk about are the kind of things that you can help businesses with, and I'm guessing you can help them at all sizes. I mean, because clearly your organization is large enough that you can help from large to small. Try and be specific, because when we just say telecommunication, as a small business person listening, how does that connect with them, and are you the right person to call for that type stuff?
Right, that's a great question. And actually, in David's story earlier, Wayne asked me during the break, do you sell your own product? And from a hardware perspective, we do not. We sell Avaya, ShoreTel, major brands, but in reality, we do sell our own product. It's that intangible product, that customer service product that we sell and try to create that added value. I mean, if you look for a particular product, whether it be Cisco, Avaya, whatever you're looking for, there are going to be a ton of choices. But you have to make sure that you choose a vendor that's going to be responsive and you're able to get in touch with them, and they can react, and not only react, but they understand globally what your situation looks like, even though they don't own all aspects of it, because it all intertwines so tightly nowadays that one little piece of it can go wrong and it can affect the whole platform. So I think what we try to do at Tricom is to make sure we build a relationship with the customer so that we understand all areas of your platform, of your communications platform, and whether that's a installation role where we're installing hardware, that could be a consultative role where we're saying, hey, let's help you get a better program with your carrier. How can we better help you manage your bandwidth? You know, there's different ways to be a good telecommunications company to a customer.
And nowadays, when you say telecommunication, I mean, that also includes security and a lot of other things. Give some specifics of the types of things that you can do so that the listeners kind of get it. We can put some real meat on the word telecommunication.
Right. Well, that word, I mean, it could go from, hey, we have 100 employees, we need 100 telephones on the desktop, or it could go to, we have 10 salespeople that are on the road constantly. How do we keep them in touch? How do we, BYOD, bring your own device to work? How do we integrate that telephone, that iPad, that mobile device into your workforce and get all that stuff working, at 100 miles an hour all of the time, every day, 7 days a week? How do we integrate all of those platforms? And really, it's the word, I think, is integrator, because you're not providing every piece, but you need to know how to get your piece of the pie to work with another person's piece of the pie, and you got to gel those two together.
Do you guys have services where you're totally monitoring this stuff all the time, or do they need to have somebody in house that's able to do this?
No, we can create a completely managed program with a NOC, that manages your network 24/7.
He just came up with some tech lingo. NOC.
Yeah, it's a network operations center that would be staffed 24/7.
I was hoping you were going to knock Wayne on the head, is what I was hoping.
No.
So yeah, we can monitor your network around the clock, send you proactive reports, alerts when you're, and a lot of times fix that problem before you even walk in the door at whatever your start time is.